Hi everyone, we're live again. Hi, I'm just waiting for a few people to join us if you're going to join. Wait for the live to start. Take my glasses off for a minute because the ring light is reflecting off the lenses of my glasses. Hi, for joining us. This is the second Sewalong, live Sewalong. The second live #FridaySews from me. I'm doing 5-hour-long live streams on YouTube to raise funds and awareness of a charity called Mind UK. They're based in the UK. They support people who have mental health issues, give advice via their website, and help you to see a professional a little bit quicker than you normally would if you were going through the NHS, I believe. The aim of the fundraiser, the live stream, it's called #StreamForMind. The aim is to live stream either for 5 hours, 15 hours, 15 hours or 23 hours, and you can split it into chunks. So I decided to do a 5-hour live stream split into 5 1-hour chunks, where I would do my Friday sews video, and I would do a live sew along and also chat sewing and maybe some knitting live for an hour. If you're joining us for the first time, if you're joining me for the first time, there's no us, it's me, for the first time, hello, welcome. If you're a subscriber already, thank you for subscribing and thank you for coming back to watch the live. If you have any questions, I can't actually see the chat at the moment because I'm recording this on my phone, which is upright this week. I got that right this week because it was horizontal. Yeah, it's vertical this week. It's horizontal last week and I had to flip it. So I can't see any chat. But if you want to ask any questions, pop them in. This video will be put onto my channel once the processing's been done after the live. So you'll be able to see a replay. So if you want to leave any comments in the comments box below, please do. Ask any questions you like and I can always answer those next week when I do my 3rd live sew along. Ooh. Okay, so I'll do the #FridaySews part first. Thank you to Jen from Jen's Sewing Room, who started the #FridaySews to bring all us sewers together so we can vlog about what we've been doing in the last week as far as our sewing is concerned. My channel is Sew Yourself a Capsule wardrobe. So if you want to subscribe and like and give me a thumbs up for the video and make a comment, that'd be fantastic. You know what I'm going to say, liking, subscribing and commenting gets you seen by the YouTube algorithm, and it's all good for my channel. So hello. Okay, so let's start with some #FridaySews chat for the week. So yeah, what have I been doing? As you know, I've cut my hours down. Well, I haven't cut my hours down, I've changed my working days. So I now work Monday to Thursday. Seems to be working really well. I went to see my mum yesterday for a few hours. She's been quite poorly over the New Year. She's been in hospital. She's 88, so she's quite elderly. So if you're watching, Mum, hiya! Hope you feel all right. So I went to see her yesterday. So yeah, she's feeling much better. Chatted sewing and knitting with her for a little while. It cheered her up. Did some little bit of shopping at the local shop and bought some nice things to eat. So I hope you're enjoying your salad bowl, Mum. Anyway, what have I been doing? Well, last week, if you remember, I did a sew along for the Pattern Emporium Friday Field Skirt. Now this is a free pattern. and you can access the code to get it for free by joining the Pattern Emporium sewing community, I think it's called, Facebook group. And one of the pinned posts on there is for a code to give you free access to the pattern. It's really simple, it's for beginners, and it's just a straight tube skirt with an elastic waistband. And I'm going to show you the finished item. I also did a video afterwards, or last Sunday, we're on Saturday to do a Saturday today, and I did the sew along last week on Saturday afternoon as well. So I did this first part of the sew along on Saturday afternoon, and then I finished the skirt on just a normal video on Sunday afternoon, just to show you how to finish the waistband. So here is a finished skirt. Yay! I'm really pleased with that. I'll just take it off. It fits really nicely as well. I've made it before, previously, just before Christmas, I think, and I knew it fitted nicely. So that is the finished skirt with my label in it. My label says, "My Capsule Wardrobe Handmade Originals," because nobody's got a skirt like that, have they? Apart from me and you, if you make it. So there we are, it's finished. You can see the waistband's finished really neatly there. So it's a really neat finish to the skirt. And I did the hem, didn't I? Did I do the hem on camera? I think I showed you how to do the hem, and then finished off on the machine with a triple zigzag. So yeah, one Ponte skirt, which is going to my spring Capsule wardrobe. I've decided that the colours for my spring wardrobe, the basic neutral is going to be navy. That's the dark neutral. I'm going to have white as the light neutral, and I'm going to have it's called tan, but it's really quite it's a beige, a bit of a darker beige. That's a neutral as well, and with chambray, which is denim really, isn't it? So they're my four main neutrals. So I've got a dark, light and two mid neutrals. And my accent colours are going to be cerise pink, turquoise and like a Kelly green, a bright green. So I'm going to be doing a bit of dopamine dressing in spring and probably summer as well. So yeah, so that's my first, I put it on hanger really badly, haven't I? That's my first garment for my spring capsule. Oh well, I've showed you in the sew along anyway. So that's the first garment of the sew along. I also, last weekend, finished off another skirt for my spring capsule. I think I held up the fabric. I showed the fabric in one of the previous hashtag fridaysews videos. It's a camouflage fabric that I've made. You can just tilt that. You can see it's kind of grey, navy and green camouflage. And I made the Rebecca Page high-waisted pencil skirt in this fabric. I've still got quite a lot of it left because it took under a metre, it took about 80 centimetres. It's got a nice deep waistband, as you can see. It's really nice and deep, and it's a figure-hugging pencil skirt. So that's one of my daytime skirts. That's going to be worn quite a lot, actually. I've worn it this week, to be fair. The weather, it's March at the moment. It's March the 11th. Just looking at my calendar there. March the 11th. Yeah, it was nice spring weather, and then we've suddenly had a cold snap, and it's been snowing. So there's actually snow on the ground outside in the garden. So I was wearing this skirt over a pair of leggings with a high-necked sweater, so that kept me nice and warm. So it's nice thick Ponte fabric with some pound fabrics. I bought that last year. So yeah, that's another thing that I've made. So I'm really pleased with that, and it's actually been worn as well. I'm just going to pop this back on the hanger. So I've made two skirts this week in preparation, like I said, for my spring wardrobe. What I'll do, I'll pop when I can't edit this video particularly because it goes live. so I can't add the things, any graphics at the moment. But what I will do, no I can't, can I? I won't be able to add it. I'll show you next week what the colours that I've chosen for my spring wardrobe, because I can't edit this video in the normal way. It just goes literally straight onto YouTube. I can edit the description and the comments, and not comments, the description box, but I can't edit the actual video. So I can't show you, unfortunately. I have to hold them up, which I haven't got the shades to hand at the moment. Yeah, so I also prepped up some fabric this week to make some extra bits and pieces for my spring capsule. I don't know if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to make myself, I think they're called the Cocoa pants from Pattern Emporium. And I'd laundered a piece of navy linen, came to put my pattern pieces on, and I hadn't got enough fabric, and I thought, I'll have enough, I'll have plenty, because patterns usually overstate the fabric that you need, don't they? Well, Pattern Emporium doesn't. I was 20 centimetres, I'm holding my hands up here, 20 centimetres short, so I couldn't get the pattern onto the fabric. So I went hunting in my stash. I haven't bought any more stash for this, or for these trousers, and I've fished out 3 metre piece of, again, it's linen fabric, so that's a nice, it's got very, very fine stripe running up and down the fabric. So yeah, I'm going to make myself some cocoa pants out of that piece of fabric, and I will have enough because I've got 3 metres of it. I'm sniffing it because I love that. Do you like the smell of clean laundry? I absolutely love it. I'm obsessed with the smell. But then I love laundry anyway. I think it must be a bit strange. But anyway, yeah, so that's that fabric for the cocoa pants, and they're really simple, so it shouldn't take me long to make. I'll have to fit those into my sewing plans for the next couple of weeks for, again, spring capsule. And I also washed a piece of navy ponte fabric that, again, was in my stash. So there it is. It's really dark. It's really good quality ponte. This is both pieces, both the linen, I've just held up, this one, and this ponte are from Pound Fabrics, and I bought them probably this time last year. Yeah, I might have bought this fabric the year before. This is one of the first pieces that I bought from Pound Fabrics, and I bought this probably last year. So it's really, really good. It's nice and thick. It's really good quality. And I want to make a pair of, they're called urban pants from Pattern Emporium again. So I want to make a pair of those just for, again, spring wardrobe. So that's all been spring capsule wardrobe. So that's all been laundered as well. So I've got 2 good pieces to make pants or trousers from. So yeah, that's on my sewing radar. Well, it probably won't be this week because I've only got tomorrow really. We're going away in the caravan again next weekend. So the live Sewalong will be on Friday, possibly around about lunchtime, early afternoon. So I'll be doing a live Sewalong again next Friday. In knitting news, I don't know if anybody's a knitter as well as a sewer. I bought and had this book delivered. It's quite a thin book. It's not a hardback book, it's a softback book. It's one of the Kim Hargreaves mini series that she did. Kim Hargreaves has now closed her business, so I had an email in the week saying that they'd got some books left over in stock. I hadn't got this one, So I bought it, and there's absolutely some fantastic designs in it. I haven't had time to sit down and look at this book properly, but it's one thing I want to do with a cuppa. I want to sit down and plan what I want to make. I mean, I actually bought it for this cardigan. I'll see if I can find it for you. There we go. I want to knit that cardigan. It's got, it's knitted in Kid Silk Haze. They're all Rowan yarns. It's got this, the balloon sleeve that's really popular at the moment, and mohaire's quite popular at the moment as well, isn't it? That really fits my aesthetic and fits my vibe. So I think that will be absolutely stunning to make. I really want to do that. And another jacket that really caught my eye was this one. And I think that's made in Aran yarn. It's made in, let's have a look. It usually says, doesn't it? Merino Aria. So yeah, I really like that as well. That'd be a nice autumn jacket. So I can't wait to look at that with a cuppa. Right, so I think I've been through everything that on my hashtag Friday sews that I would normally put into a video. What I will say is, like I said, the Friday Feels skirt that I made last week, it is available as a free pattern with the code, which if you have the fabric in stock already in your stash, already, this would be a really good project for hashtag SewFrugal23. So bear that in mind, because the garment I'm making this week it's the Itched Stitch Lego tank, which is that. And again, this is going to feature in my spring capsule wardrobe. I have made it previously. In fact, it's here. I made it last summer. In some printed cotton lycra. Again, I got this fabric from Pound Fabrics, and it was in a bundle of remnants. I got about 80 centimetres of this fabric. So, and I'd had my eye on the actual listing, that's on the website. I thought, I like that. So I was really pleased when I got it in my remnant bundle last year. So that is the Lego tank made up, and I have worn it quite a lot. So it's going into my spring capsule this year. Unfortunately, I made a bit of a mistake and got it a little bit too short, so I won't be making that mistake again this week. I cut it full length, and I'm not going to take too much off the bottom. So as a skirt last week, this pattern is completely free, and you can find it on the Itch to Stitch website. It literally is free. There's no code to type in at checkout. It literally is. It costs £0, $0 everything. So you can get that absolutely free. So again, it's a really good candidate for the hashtag SewFrugal23 challenge if you're taking part in that this month. And if you've already got fabric in your stash, it's an absolute perfect combination. So let's crack on with the Sewalong. A quick review of this. In fact, I've already reviewed the pattern sort of in a way, because I looked at 3 vest tops probably about August last year. I looked at 3 vest top patterns, and this pattern was one of the patterns that I looked at. The reason it didn't come out on top was that it's got a bit of a racer back. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a bit of a racer style back instead of just being a cut in the armhole. So when I wear this top, you can see my bra straps. So it's a fantastic pattern, and it sews up extremely well. if you don't mind a bit of bra strap showing. It does on me. One of my friends said that she has the opposite problem to me, and she thought this pattern would be ideal for her and her lingerie. So I think it depends on the lingerie you wear underneath it as to whether it's suitable for you. But the reason I chose it is that it's free. So again, you can use this pattern as part of the hashtag SoFrugal23 challenge. It's really easy. There are layers for the pattern, so you only have to print out the size you need or you want. I printed out 2 sizes and blended because my waist and hips are bigger than my bust measurement. The pattern tapes together. It's PDF. It tapes together very, very well. It was very easy to tape together. There's a good range of sizes. The sizes are US sizes, I think. They go from 00 to size 20. And the range of that is size 31 1/8 inch bust for the 00 to a 45 3/4 inch bust for the size 20. And again, the waist and hips for the 00 are 25 3/8 and the hip is 33 1/4. And for the size 20, the waist is 46 3/8 to 49 3/4. So you can see it's, oops, that's difficult to see, isn't it, because of the light shining onto the page. But yeah, that's a really good range of sizes. I think I cut the size 10 and then graded out to a size 12. So I did 39 1/4 inch bust. They're the body measurements. Yeah, the finished, I'm sorry, the body measurements for the size 20 are 46 inch bust, 40 1/2 inch waist and 48 inch hip. I was giving you the finished sizes there for the size 20. Sorry about that. So yeah, so there's a good size range. It's in stretch fabric. I'm doing mine in cotton lycra. And I've already cut it out this week. So I'll just show you the pieces that I have cut out. This is my scrap bit. So I'm doing it in navy cotton lycra. The cotton lycra is from Tianite Fabrics, my favourite for plain, good quality cotton lycra. It's got a good stretch in both directions and it's navy. I got 1 metre of this. This was a metre piece. I actually got more of it, but this was a metre piece. You can see the bits of scrap that I've cut out there. So that will, oops, if I take out my skirt that I've made, it's going to be a nice top to wear with the skirt. So it's going to be a hashtag SoFrugal23 outfit, isn't it? With the skirt and the top. So let's see which pieces I've already cut out. I used, whoops, I've just kicked the, that's not good. Just kicked my light. Sorry about that. Yeah, I used the same techniques as I used last week. I folded the fabric into the middle from both sides of the selvage. I had the most stretch going around the body because that's when that's where you want the most stretch to be. I used ballpoint pins and cut out with a pair of scissors. Again, if you are a rotary cutter and weights kind of person, you can use the weights on the pattern pieces and use your rotary cutter. But as I said last week, I'm very much a pins and scissors girl, and I always have been. So let's have a look at the pieces that I've already cut out. I have the front piece, which is cut on the fold. And as you can see, there's a really nice shape to the side of that. So that is the front piece. Where you have a front, you usually have a back. So that is my back piece. Again, cut on the fold by bringing the two selvages to the centre. So you can fit both pieces, the back and the front, out and put them onto the fold. So yeah, that's that one. There are also lengthen and shorten lines in these, by the way. So if you're tall or short, you can fold that line down and make your garments longer or shorter for your personal preference. I also have a neckband, and I have two armbands. Now I went a bit rogue with these. I didn't cut, if you look at the pattern piece, it's one continuous length, and you can cut that, you can cut two of those with the grain going this way, so you cut them across the fabric width. But I hadn't got enough fabric width to cut those, because I'd cut two back and front out of the width of the fabric. So all I did was folded my pattern piece in half. You see what I did? Folded it in half. And then cut two armbands out on the fold of the fabric. So instead of cutting one piece on the fold, I cut two pieces on the fold, if that makes sense. Instead of cutting one long piece out, I cut two half pieces out on the fold. Does that make it makes sense, doesn't it? Me explaining it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but I think if I show you the visuals you can see it. So I do have two armbands. Right, I'm going to pin those together and pin them to the pattern piece so I don't get them mixed up with the neckband. And we're going to do some sewing. So all you need for this sew along is the pattern, the fabric, which needs to be pre-washed. The ponte from last week didn't really need to be pre-washed because it's polyester, but this is cotton and lycra, so there's a chance that it might shrink when you first launder your garment. And when you've put a lot of work into making a garment, you don't really want it to shrink in the first wash, do you? So I always wash my fabrics beforehand. Also, it makes the fabric a bit softer to handle and takes off the dressing that's applied to the fabric during manufacture. Okay, so the other thing is, if you've got a plain fabric like I have here and it's not patterned, sometimes it's difficult to tell the right side from the wrong side. I can actually tell with this fabric, but sometimes you're not able to tell the right side from the wrong side. So if necessary, you can just put a little cross with chalk or a little sticky piece of paper or something like that, or a bit of quilting tape onto the wrong side, so you know when you come to put your garment together which is the right and the wrong side. Okay, let's start. We're going to, the other thing you need is thread. Last week we needed elastic for the waistband. You don't need any other extra notions at all for this top, apart from your fabric and your thread. You can obviously use your sewing machine entirely for this. If you want to, but you do your you do your seams with a stretch stitch, or you can use the overlocker and then back that up with the use of the sewing machine. I'm going to be using the overlocker and the sewing machine this afternoon. Okay, I might get half of this top done. It's already cut out, like I said, so I've saved some time. I'm just going to move the light back. I'm going to move things around like I did last week. So bear with me a second. Let me get this out of the way. This is the fun, isn't it, doing a live? My room isn't big enough, to be perfectly honest, to do live sew-alongs. But I'm doing the best I can with the equipment I have. So you have to bear with me a little bit. Let me just move this. My fabric I'm showing you for next week. I've got my instructions. Okay, let's move this a bit closer. Oh, my pins, don't I? There we go, here I am at the overlocker. So let's just adjust that so you can see me. Right, what I'm going to do is, my pieces here again. I don't feel as organised as I was last week. I think I didn't have an awful lot of sleep last night. And it does, you know, lack of sleep does kind of affect the way I feel. So yeah, I'm feeling a bit less organised this week. So apologies for that if I sound a bit dopey and disorganised. It's me, dopey and disorganised. Right, okay, so let's just whip out our pins off our pattern pieces and we can get started. The first thing to do when you're making a new pattern is to check the seam allowance. Now, Itch to Stitch are very good and they give you a seam allowance on the pattern piece itself, and it actually says here 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimetre seam allowance and 2 centimetres hem allowance included. It's just on here. There you go. It's just here. So you don't have to trawl through all the instructions to find the hem allowance on this. Kennis, who's the owner of Itch to Stitch, gives you so much information. The instructions, her instructions are absolutely amazing. And as I said, this is a free pattern. So, you know, to give really good instructions on a free pattern as well is amazing. And I have quite a few of her patterns, and the detail of the instructions is next to none. It really is excellent. So I would recommend Itch to Stitch patterns if you're a beginner, because, you know, Kennis does take you through everything step by step by step, which is really lovely. Okay, so I have my back piece and my front piece. Now I should know which is the front and the back, and I can tell. I can't really show you on camera because it's a really subtle difference, but there's a slight difference. If you look on the front, you can actually see the knitted stitches of the jersey. So the first thing I'm going to do is stitch the shoulder seams. So I'm going to put right sides together. And even though it's a really small seam, I am going to pin. If you remember from last week, I did say just be so careful if you pin when you're using the overlocker, because you really do not want to be stitching over pins with the overlocker. First of all, you know, you could break your needles, but the most important thing, if your knife is down, you could blunt your knife, and then you know you'd have to have possibly a replacement blade for your overlocker, and they're expensive, so it's an expensive mistake to run over your pins. Okay, so here's a second shoulder. When you're making tops in jersey, it's sometimes a good idea to put a bit of reinforcing or reinforce the shoulders with a piece of ribbon or you know, a small strip of fusible interfacing, fusible webbing, that kind of thing, fusible strip. But this top is only going to be kept folded up in a drawer. It's not going to be hung on a hanger, so the shoulders aren't going to you know, pull out of shape. So I'm not going to put any tape onto these shoulders at all. I didn't put any tape into the previous one that I made either. So let's just stitch these seams. I said last week that I'd move furniture around. I haven't, because I couldn't really, because I couldn't get the ironing board in. And I also couldn't get the light in, so I haven't moved the furniture around at all. So I'm afraid you're going to have to see my back whilst I'm doing the overlocking. I'll just see if I can move the lights a little bit closer. The light's on a tripod, and the legs go up quite wide. So it's quite difficult to get up close. I have to put my back to, I'm afraid. There we go, I've got the overlock on the side. Now, I've got a guide on my overlocker. I don't know if you can see that. It's a guide, and I can run the edge of my work. Oh, you can't see that, there we go. Can you see that? Probably not, but in another video, I'll show you what I mean. I literally am able to run the edge of my seam along the guide, and I've got little markings here. So I usually get a pin and pop it on with the markings just to make sure it is actually in line where it should be. And that's I've just set mine to 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimetre. So here we go. I'm just going to do my shoulder seams. There's going to be a bit of noise coming up. I've also got a pair of boots on today, and they're lug boots with those big chunky soles. So to be honest, I can't really feel the pedal. I should have taken my shoes off really, but I've got a cold floor. It's been, like I said, it's been snowing, so I've been out as well, dropping my husband off in town. So I just came in and started the Sewalong immediately. Well, I started setting up for the Sewalong, and that's why I'm a little bit late this afternoon. Should have started at 2. It's now, I didn't start till 2:30, so I wasted half an hour setting up. But I just felt that, you know, I didn't want to cut out again on camera like I did last week. Okay, so pin out rather, and off I go. See what I mean? I can't feel this at all. Just take the pins out. Okay. First shoulder done. And my second shoulder coming up. They're such teeny weeny little seams as well. They're really short. It doesn't give you much leeway if you go a bit wrong. Not that you should, but you know, I mean, sometimes the overlocker whizzes away with you, doesn't it? I hate these little tiny little seams because I always feel that if, you know, I don't have so much control over these, to be honest. Oops. And here's my second shoulder seam. All done. Now, I'm sure that the instructions say go and press your shoulder seams. But as I'm at the overlocker, I'm going to save myself some time, and I'm also going to do my side seams whilst I'm sitting here. So I'm just going to pin those really quickly. So I'm going to match up under the arms and onto the hem. There is a notch as well, but forgot to do it. Forgot last week as well, didn't I? Yeah, forgot to do my notch. Don't forget to do your notches. It makes stitching up so much easier. And again, Kenyas gives you lots of nice notches so that everything will match up, align really nicely when you're doing your making your garments, because you're not going to make just one, or you're going to make lots. I've got the Quebec skirt from Itch to Stitch on my list of garments I want to make for my spring capsule. It's a pull-on skirt, pull-on stretch woven skirt, and it looks very similar to a denim skirt. In fact, it's got all the features of a denim skirt. It's got a fake fly, pocket, front pockets, back pockets, split in the front. So I've got some stretch denim that I've already laundered and washed up for that. So I'll be making that for myself. I've got a capsule guide that I bought a few months ago. I think I bought it in the winter, by Classy Yet Trendy, and it's a basics guide, and there is a denim skirt in there for a spring and summer wardrobe. So what more encouragement do I need to make myself one than the capsule guide telling me that I do? So yeah, it's also going to be, obviously, I got two denims and they're both pattern denims. One's got big polka dots on it, and the other one's got kind of an etched flower on it, a self flower on it. But yeah, they're a bit more, it's got a bit more elevated than just a normal denim skirt. Looking forward to making them, actually. So once I've got these pinned, I'm going to go side seams pinned. I'm going to go straight to my overlocker again. Again, we're going to keep that 1 centimetre or 3/8 of an inch seam. So, I'm going to start from the top of the side seam, because if we go a bit wobbly or wonky, then the wonkiness is going to be at the hem edge rather than the armhole edge, because it's more difficult if it's the armhole edge to kind of disguise. But if it's at the hem edge, you can obviously account for that when you're stitching your hem. So here we go. Like I said, this is a curved side. It's not entirely straight, but it's not such a curve that it's difficult to manage on the overlocker. So we're stitching and trimming as we go. And then onto the second side. And once your second side seam's done, you've got the majority of your top made. They're not, these little tanks are not difficult to make at all. They don't take a huge amount of fabric. You can make this. I'll tell you the fabric requirements in just 1 second. But you need a huge amount. And like I said, I made mine out of a remnant piece that was in a remnant bundle last year. So I think I must have got it out about 80 centimetres. I'm just lining up my edges of my seams. And off we go. I think there's a tendency to rush dressmaking. People go, I made a dress last night. I think I said this last time, didn't I? But you know, for me, it's all about enjoying every stitch. And sewing for me is, I know I'm doing this live stream for mine, but sewing for me is really a meditation as well as a hobby. And it's my work as well. You know, if I'm feeling a bit myself and feeling a bit, I'll take myself off to my sewing room, which I'm in, and make myself something. And the actual, I think the action of making something and being able to wear it, for me it's just a great stress reliever and helps my mood, which is good. Doesn't necessarily help my bank balance because I'm always buying fabrics, but I'd be buying clothes anyway, wouldn't I? And you know, it's leisure as well as clothing allowance, really, isn't it? So you've got to look at it that way. I think I would rather, my husband will disagree, I would rather stitch and have a nice cup of tea than go out to the pub. I'm not a big drinker really. Alcohol doesn't particularly suit me. Anyway, so we've now got the shoulder seams done, and we've got the side seams done, both the side seams there. So as I mentioned last week, one of my biggest tips for anybody who's starting to sew is press all your seams. So I'm just going to trim these little tails off, because again, like I said last week, you can actually finish the tails of the overlap by running the ends back through the stitching. But all these seams are going to be stitched from each end. They're going to be secured, if you like. So I don't need to secure the tails of the overlocking, if that makes sense, because they're all going to have the edges stitched. Okay, so I'm just going to move that out of the way a minute, and I'm going to have to move the light again. Sorry about that. Camera moved. So I'm going to press my seams. So I'm going to iron. Now, what I said last week was, I don't know if I explained about pressing the seams. I probably did. It's what I do with my seams. This is what my mum taught me, and she was a fantastic seamstress in her day, and she taught me a lot of what I know. So thanks, Mum, if you're watching. Probably are. So I'm going to press both sides of the seam from the stitching side. Then I'm going to press the seam so that the seam is pressed down one way towards the back, and then press it again from the right side. And that, to me, gives a really beautiful finish. I'm just going to grab my tailor's hand, excuse me. Sorry about that. Right, let's put that there. The iron is up to steam. Hello, if you joined us. Don't be worried, because I don't know who's joined, but if you'd like to say hi to me in the comments or leave a comment afterwards, that'd be fantastic, because I don't know who's joined us, but I can see that a couple of people have joined, and I really, really appreciate that. I often think I'm going to be talking to myself or making an absolute idiot of myself on these live streams. Hi! That's lovely. Is that Eva? Oh, it's lovely. Hi, Eva. Yeah, I always think I'm going to be talking to myself, and I kind of just ramble on. You know, last week I didn't have a clue what I was going to say, and this week I don't have a clue what I'm going to say either. And I just literally ramble on about anything. which last week I was quite surprised that I did manage to ramble for an hour and didn't get stuck for something to say. So I just pressed, there we go, I just pressed my seams on both sides. I'm doing the shoulder seams at the moment, so where my hand comes in, because I don't really want to drape this over the ironing board edge because I don't want to stretch the neckline or the armholes. So I'm going to press the shoulder seams to the back of the garment as you're wearing it. So I'm just going to pop that on there, over the ham and press. And with steam, that's pressed down one way. And again, towards back, just to check. Back. I'm going to go to the back again. Press it down and then press my steam on. When you press, it's not a case of, you know, when you iron, you move the iron along like this. You don't do that. You kind of press and let the heat and the steam do the work. And then I'm going to flip and then press the shoulder seams on the right side of the garment. So still making sure those seams are facing towards the back. Just going to put them over my hand again and press. I don't know what the time is. I haven't got much time left. I've only got 9 minutes. That's with me rambling on about, yeah, my Friday sews antics. Oops. Looks like I might be making a video tomorrow to show you how to finish this off. Oh dear. Anyway. So, right, we've pressed our seams and you can see that they are really nice and flat, and they give a really nice professional finish. And again on the inside, they're nice and flat and towards the back. You see that? And that is, if you're a beginner sewer, that has to be my absolute top tip. Like I said, my mum, who is 88, she was sewing since she's been about, I don't know, 10 or something like that. She was born before World War II broke out and was a child during that time. And she made a lot of her own clothes because it was necessity. She used her grandma's treadle machine, which was powered by her feet. So there's no electricity, it was a treadle machine, so she was doing this all the time. And she's told me that it was snowing in the winter and she wanted to go sledding with her friends, but she couldn't because she thought her legs would be cold, and her auntie had was getting rid of her coat. So my mum asked if she could have it, and she made a pair of trousers from an old woolen coat of her auntie's. And that, I think, is one of the first things my mum made, and it was made out of necessity because, of course, during the war there was rationing and you just couldn't pop down to, you know, town like we do now and buy a pair of trousers because there just wasn't the clothes just weren't available without ration coupons. And, you know, my mum's family was poor, so you just couldn't nip out and buy a pair of trousers. So mum learned to sew as a matter of, it was necessity more than anything else. So here we go, now I've done the side seams. So again, I've pressed them on the inside, on both sides with my steam iron. And now I'm going to press them again towards the back or front. If you said back, you're absolutely right. So let's press them towards back. Now here I need to check which is the back. I think it's a pigeon in the garden because it's making a quacky kind of noise, but it's not a duck. hang on. There's a pigeon, that's quite a fat pigeon, that kind of wanders around on the lawn. I've seen it grow like from a small pigeon to quite a large pigeon. And luckily the dog's not bothered by it, but usually he'd run out and chase something like that. I call it his pet pigeon. He's been quite quiet actually today. He's probably right at, so I've got a door in front of me here. And I'm surprised he's not sitting right outside the door, to be perfectly honest. So here you go, I've got my tailor's ham again. And the reason I've got my tailor's ham to press this is because the sides of the top are shaped. So if they were just completely straight, I could put them over the ironing board and press them flat. But because the sides are shaped and they go like this, coming at the waist and over the hips, it's quite difficult to press neatly over the shaping. So if you've got a tailor's ham, can you see what I'm doing? I've got a tailor's ham. It's a lot easier to press over the curve, and that's exactly what a tailor's ham is for. To press over curves, because it is a curved piece of equipment. I use my tailor's ham a lot more than I actually thought I would. I didn't have a tailor's ham for quite a while, although I've got a sleeve board. And yeah, I definitely use my tailor's ham an awful lot. That's it. I showed you last week. It's got polyester on one side and cotton on the other, and it's stuffed with kind of sawdusty stuff. It's a bit more, it's a bit softer than it used to be. It used to be quite hard, but all the steam has probably made it a bit softer. So here we go. This is my second side seam, pressing towards the back. Let's make sure which is the back. That's the back. I always have to double check, you know. I go, okay, which is the back? And I always, if I flip the garment over, I often forget which is back and which is front. It's a good idea to mark the back, wouldn't it? In fact, I marked the back of the skirt last week, didn't I? I actually put a big sign on it saying back, so I knew which was which. But it's easy to tell with this top because the back neck is higher than obviously the front neck. So, yeah, we are getting there. I mean, you know, I find that the pressing of garments I'm making takes equally as much time as the stitching. Because once those seams are pressed and you've sewn over, if you don't press your seams adequately enough, and then you carry on stitching and happen to stitch over the seams, you just can't press them properly again. And you can press the completed garment. I'm pressing the outside of the garment now, the seam on the outside. You just can't press those seams adequately after the garment's been made up. So, yeah, I'm a little bit pedantic about it, but to me, it's all in the professional finish of the garment. And I'm not saying my stuff's fantastic, but I'm usually proud of what I've made, and I am a perfectionist, so this is probably why I press as much as I do. But unfortunately, I've done it for such a long time, I now cannot get myself out of the habit, and probably wouldn't. You know, like I said, I sew to ease stress and mindfulness. So why wouldn't I take time with it? It's not a race. It's a relaxing hobby for me. Right. I'm coming to the end of my hour very shortly. Got about 40 seconds to go. So I hope you've enjoyed me yattering on today and doing a live sew along. Next week I'll be doing a sew along on Friday lunchtime-ish, early afternoon. and I'll be making the Rebecca Page Keeley cardigan. Hello everybody! Hi! I'll be making the Rebecca Page Keeley cardigan, again in the same navy cotton lycra as this, and it'll be part of, that's not a mark, that's a bit of water from the iron. I'll be making it, like I said, as part of my spring capsule wardrobe. So if I have chance tomorrow, I'll record a video to finish off the Lego top. Remember, it is a free pattern from Itch to Stitch. There's no code needed. It literally is zero cost on the Itch to Stitch website. Thank you very much, Kenneth, for giving us that free, and it does qualify as part of your hashtag SewFrugal23 entry into the challenge. If you already have your fabric at home in your stash, you don't need much of it. You can make in cotton lycra, you can make it in this, you can make it in interlock, you could make it in viscose jersey. You don't need much of it. You need about 80 centimetres. So I really highly recommend this pattern as your entry into hashtag SewFrugal23. That's all from me this week. If you've enjoyed the sew along, give me a like, thumbs up, leave me a comment, ask me a question. I'm quite happy to answer anybody's questions about sewing or myself, as long as it's not too personal. Yeah, I have got a Just Giving page, so if you fancy dropping me a couple of pennies, 50p, anything that you can afford for hashtag Stream for Mind, that will be so much appreciated. And it's a big thank you to everybody who has donated already. Alright, so that's it from me this week. I'll see you next week. Take care, keep sewing. I'll see you soon. Bye.